I don't know. I dropped my flashlight.
Oh, flashlight
Hello.
down. If anyone is a flashlight sponsor, Dudes needs one because he just broke his.
Yeah. Don't play with your light. It'll
You
get
guys
broken.
remember when mag lights were all the rage?
Yeah. I remember when they were a tool and a weapon.
If you'd have just done that with a mag light, though, you'd have knocked yourself out, flipping it up with the.
Yeah, I dropped it on my foot, so because I did that thing where my feet, like I'm gonna try to catch everything I drop, like I'm gonna catch it, and then my foot hurts.
That's a steel toe syndrome right there, because you're used to being invincible.
Yes, exactly.
So we're already off topic, haven't even started. So welcome to the show. This is Off Topic. I'm Wasted Talent Fabrications. We got Dudes with Wrenches and Midnight Road Garage. Mongrel's Garage will be in here at some point. I feel like this is the same opening we did like 2 weeks ago. Potentially. This week we're talking about when we became old people that say back in my day and it was better this way, and remember like all of those cliches. Like I remember being a kid and being just like rolling my eyes at these things, and then sometimes I say things that I'm just like, it pains me that I just said this, but it's the truth. When did I become old?
Do you remember when?
Like, so for me, it's been the last like 5 years. Jim, for you, it was what, 85, 3?
Oh, at least 1885, yeah.
18, yeah.
He's a Highlander.
There can only be one.
Yeah, there can be only one. I remember when that movie was in the movie theaters, so screw you guys.
I mean, at least you had the good movies in the theaters. I mean,
there were some great movies in the theater.
All right, so we've got the idea here of what's going on tonight. We'll check in with the chat. We got old Dean in the house, I believe from Australia, if I was to take or maybe Kiwi. This might be our Kiwi friend from a couple weeks ago.
I am unaware.
I just saw the next one down. Fox, how you doing, brother? Appreciate you hopping in. I think he might be working tonight, not 100%. Yep, Dean Kiwi. I think so. So yeah, we have we run these live. If you're listening to this after the fact, it's the podcast. Trying our hand here. We appreciate you coming in if you're coming in for that. If you like what you hear today and you want to get in on one of these things, we run them pretty regularly toward the Friday or Saturday, and you can come be part of the conversation.
Sure. On that note, what is our conversation again?
Oh my God. It's called Off Topic, not what did you say, Sonny? When did you start finding yourself quoting the things you remember people that you consider to be old saying?
You know, back in the day, it was probably 12 years ago, give or take, where I was like, back in my day, and I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah, because when you do it, when you find yourself legitimately doing it, you're like, oh, this hurts, but I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah, because I feel like our generation, I'll include you, Jim, that's fine. Our generation,
he transcends them because
what generation are you guys? What is your?
We're not going to go there.
We're that special abandoned generation between Gen X and millennials. Yeah, technically, we're not either. We're the bastard generational children.
So, in other words, you're millennials and you don't want to admit it.
No, they changed. What year are you born? I'm 83. What year are you?
I'm 84.
84. So, and I believe 81 is when they decided to make it millennial now. So, it depends where you look. Either way, it's not a good place to be.
I'm only 12 years older than you, right?
I know. That's the best part of the joke.
I'm trying not to demonetize us right away.
I
know. I do have some strong words I'd use like to use right now. There, Sonny.
Like a stern older brother.
Oh, that's what makes it so much better, because I'm the one who's retired and getting AARP and all that in the mail. Like they really think I retired as an old person out here, and then I give you a hard time about actually being around in the 1800s. It's once you get in on my inside jokes, they're hilarious. You should hear the laughter in my head.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's great.
Is it though?
Well, for someone, it's great.
Well, that's another thing about being old is, early onset dementia.
Ah,
Dementia.
what?
Say that
I
again.
made it. Nope. I know what I did there. You'll have to run that back. I make up words from time to time.
I'm gonna buy you a calendar, but
Buy me a thesaurus. It's not going to help.
yeah, you gotta still be able to read it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway,
Let's see here. Wait, Dean was born in 1970. Fox at 78. Okay.
Good
right.
year. I mean, so here's a big one that I always come back to. And at what point did you stop listening to all new forms of music?
I still listen to new music. I'm that weird old dude who you do not want to know what I'm listening to right now. It's not. I'm not.
I gave up on new music like 6 years ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I would say that yes, I still listen to new music, but the other day I was listening to satellite radio, and they have a new music channel. I was like, oh, let me listen to that. I'm sure there's something I didn't know anything on it, and then I went and listened to the one that's like 2010 and up to 2020. I didn't know many of them either. So turns out that I kind of checked out on new music time in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what it is. I like.
Nope.
Yeah, for me it does. It depends on the genre for what it is. There are certain.
Trying to feel young. I listen to the hip kids music.
No,
I can tell you, I pretty much checked out on new music probably when my son moved out. So,
well, it's because you stopped being exposed. Well, so that's a thing that I did have for 20
so you have
years.
a kid that listens to music.
No, not
people around you. That
exactly. For 20 years, I had the new kid in the shop every year. You always got a new one that brought you in on what was going on. And there was a lot of crap music and crap terminology that came in, but there were some gems. Like I've gotten more into the punk metal stuff that's been going on. What is it? Motionless and White and Pierce the Veil and stuff like that is some of the stuff. Well, they're okay. These guys are heavy metal and screaming. I told you were going to be freaking judgy about what I said.
Here's the thing.
I'm here for the judgment.
When I say music,
feeling old now. Yeah.
When I say music, it can't be like indie bands. It can't be like things off in the ether that nobody knows about.
Oh, see, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's not that nobody knows about it. It's just that you two are old and don't know about it.
Well, now here's something odd, though. Until probably 2 years ago, I never listened to country music. And now I find myself listening to some country music. It's weird.
I listen to story songs. I like a good story.
Hi, I'm with you, yeah. Namely, The Devil Went Down to Georgia. That's a great story.
Well, I mean, I like the parody more, but
Jamaica. Have you ever heard? You remember Blues Traveler, right?
Yeah,
of course.
Okay, they did The Devil Went Down to Georgia, and he sang and played all the fiddle parts on the harmonica at the same time. Did it live, and I'm just like that dude. And I really did like that band. He could.
Oh yeah, John Poppers. He's amazing.
Can he still play the harmonica now that he's not so fat?
Yeah.
He's not so fat.
Wait, listen, he got not so fat, and then
not so fat. So I'm really stingy about the fact of I'm not a musician by any means. I can't sing, but I'm very stingy on like I don't like it when people can't sing or play an instrument and they're a musician making millions of dollars, and I'm just like, but you suck at the singing. I don't care about the showmanship of it. I'm not there for the show.
Some of these the metalcore, I guess, is kind of that's not even metalcore. It's the stuff I'm listening to now is
if
interesting.
I could do it, I don't respect it.
I feel like that's
a pretty good bar. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I feel like maybe you could be good at something, and not everybody else is good at that same something. I don't know. Like I feel like you could go do some things with enough work.
I feel like there's too many musicians out there that are just internet musicians, and they become famous through political banter or lyrics when the actual ability to sing said lyrics is garbage. So,
okay. I mean, that's easy. Listen, you can go to a lot of good bands, and time lets you. I don't know.
Well, there's such a thing as timeless music. I mean, you can listen to John McClane's American Pie. It doesn't matter what generation you're in, that's going to be a good song. It has meaning that transcends everything.
I mean, okay.
Good song, yeah.
It's a good song. And it has a lot of, I mean, it's the meanings in the eye of whoever's listening to the freaking song, realistically. At the end of the day, that's all music.
Exactly. But there's like all new rap in my mind. It's like, no, this could just be gone tomorrow and nobody would care.
I'm going to have a hard time telling you a new rap song that I've heard that I liked. And that's why I say there are genres. I couldn't tell you last time there was a new rock song that I liked realistically. Right. And like I said, this new metal stuff but there was a time when I liked Fall Out Boy for a while. There was a bit of music that was done in there I liked the bass and some of the stuff they were doing in there. Panic at the Disco was a good band that did some stuff in the middle. Even Neon Trees was some indie stuff in the middle. There were newer stuff that came up here and there in different genres that were okay, but a lot of, like you said, you got in the country for a little while now, but people that were in the country before are like, oh, this country's not old country. This is crap country. It's like, again, we're just the people that say it's not like it was back in my day. You know, what point are we just saying that to be cool, but we're really just saying the same thing everyone else has already done before us?
Okay, since we're talking about music and being old, I have a little show and tell piece. Hang on 1 second.
Oh, no.
Okay, when he says I have a show and tell piece, clicks the camera away, I'm afraid of what he's coming. Yeah, exactly. Like, do I like? Oh no!
Look, he's spreading them. Oh. Dun, dun, dun. All right, I guess when he comes back, I'm going to say this out loud. I used to enjoy Nickelback.
I'll tell you this. I didn't hate Nickelback, but I saw Nickelback. They opened for Three Doors Down, or was in the middle of Three Doors Down, and they put on a better show in person than Three Doors Down did. And realistically, you know what I mean? They came out. I didn't really know who they were. I knew the persona or whatever behind the guy or whatever, and like no one likes them. They came out and were cracking beers and throwing them into the crowds and getting everyone like riled up. And oh yeah, they'd be like, "You want a beer?" Dude brought a cooler out and was like cracking beers, and he just like throw open beers into people in the crowd. I was like, "Oh, it's that kind of party, cool."
That's what we're doing now.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool concert, man. Let's see. Back and forth here. Foo Fighters. Ooh, I did. I swear to God, when you posed with that one thing, I was like, Jim.
So, all right.
You went all Starnet on us, though. So
yeah, you are a little Starnet at the moment.
Yeah, it's. Let me see if I can shut anything down over here.
Jim.
All right.
How do you say that name right there?
Rock.
It's
Jim Croce. That's Jim Croce.
Oh, I know the song he's talking about.
Timeless.
Yeah, it is he is right. That is timeless.
So,
Renegades, what's up, brother?
So we got my buddy and I. Probably 5 years ago. We used to buy old cars together and flip them. We'd buy them, just flip them. That was how Midnight Road.
Back in the day.
Well, we did this back in high school, and then he did 20 years in the Army, and we started doing it again after.
I thought that was going a different way. I was like 20 years in the jail, but
yeah, prison. Well, prison, Army, same thing.
I mean, it's all prison anyway. At the end of the day.
Exactly, it's all a prison.
So we picked up this '69 GTO that had its inspection sticker was 1990, right? So that was the last time it had been on the road. I mean, it was in pieces. And so I got to cleaning it out, getting all the mice turds and all that. I mean, it was, pretty much a junker. But on the sun visor, on the driver's sun visor, I found this. I framed it.
On the driver's sun visor.
It was wrapped around the driver's sun visor. It is a White Snake bandana. That's from the 80s, from when I was in high school.
Yeah,
and it had been sitting on the sun visor of this '69 GTO
since 90 something.
Probably since 1990 would be my guess, or maybe 1989. But yeah. So I mean, this is
So is that worth anything?
No,
it's worth something to me.
Hey, that's all that matters.
White Snake
found it.
White Snake was a giant part of my youth, and of course, anything I had
And
like
it's in a GTO.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie to you. The reference that I have for Whitesnake is was that Bowling for Soup or whatever it is reference for oh crap, what's the song now? It's about my it's the one about when she was gonna no, I've lost the reference.
You're
Just
too
move
old
on
for
past
this.
me. Yep.
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys just don't know Whitesnake. If you did,
I don't actually.
I know
honestly
of.
be like, yeah, I know.
I know of them. And in the song I'm thinking of, they say she was going to shake her on the hood of Whitesnake's car. That's the reference that I know them from. And I know I've seen the video and I know the like cultural reference of it, but I couldn't tell you that song. You know what I mean?
Just listen to "In the Still of the Night" sometime, and then
that was them.
Yeah,
that was them. Also, I'm really bad about that. I know songs, but I don't know who.
I actually know that song, but I couldn't tell you who sang it. Well, you know, another one I was bad for. I went and saw Blink 182, and All American Rejects opened up for them, and I was like, I have no idea who this band is. And then they came and played, and I knew the majority of their songs from just being on the radio throughout the years. No, it was like, oh, they played this song?
Must be a cover band.
I was like, oh, God, that's these guys? There was a couple of them that I was like, oh, no. I actually liked that song, but now I'm like, oh, they weren't bad.
Because I didn't follow music as well as I should, because the internet wasn't a thing and I couldn't just look stuff up. I was not a fan of Metallica. Never have been. It just is what it is. I don't like them. But
yeah,
I liked Whiskey in a Jar. And I love that song. And I was like, man, I love this song. It's a good song. And then I found out later on.
Thin Lizzy? What, isn't that who does it originally? Whiskey in the Jar?
Yeah. So it's a cover.
Yes, I knew that.
So then later on in life, I finally figured that out and started listening to the original. And I'm like, I have no reason to listen to Metallica now. Yeah.
There's a lot better versions of Whiskey in a Jar than Metallica.
Yeah, that's why when you said that one Metallica, I was like, oh, it's really not better than the original.
I was a big Metallica fan until Injustice for All. And then when they destroyed file sharing on the internet,
when they killed Napster, I was like, we're done here.
Yeah,
well,
that was a huge Napster.
They don't need anybody stealing their money.
Yeah, the Black Album was good, and there was Ride the Lightning was pretty okay. A lot of the older stuff is.
I loved Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. I mean, that was
Cake and Weezer. I did like. We can talk. I liked a lot of what Weezer's done.
Circling back around
to when we became old.
I remember when. Speaking of Weezer, I remember when.
That was the most old man. I remember. Come here and let me tell you about. I remember when
they put. Now I have to remember. I think it was Windows 95 version 2.
We're referencing technology now.
They had a Weezer video on it to show you how great the graphics were. It was, their most famous song.
When you start mentioning software that predates the internet, that's when we start having a little bit of a connection issue.
It does not predate the internet, thank you.
Well, it predates the modern internet that regular people have.
It does not predate the internet for me.
Well,
yeah,
true.
So to be fair, some of us are barely on the internet now.
That is also true.
Yeah,
you were on fancy Skynet internet, which
literally both of us.
I mean, baffles me that still has to be a thing.
I was on the legit internet in 93.
I was on the internet in 1996.
I was on it in 93 when I started working at NASA headquarters in 93. And they had the internet there, and it was you didn't.
Was it the internet or was it the intranet?
It was the internet, but browsing was. I remember when Netscape was new. So
yeah, but in '93 was that just like the U.S. was linked and like you were able to talk to other parts of NASA, or
No, you could talk. You could talk to all sorts of. NASA was the original internet was a bunch of colleges hooked together.
Yes.
Hooked to the government. And
yes, because the government was the one laying everything and building
right.
The
and it was starting. They was starting to be commercialized then. Like I remember downloading drivers for network cards and crap like that. Lots of drivers. I mean, lots and lots of a lot of computer stuff on the internet back then for sure. But you didn't go surfing the web with a web browser. You would FTP things and
Yeah,
you know.
you'd know where you were going and go.
Oh yeah, ftp.dell.com to get all your Dell drivers.
Yep.
You know, or
You were
actually back then,
browsing.
I said ftp.gateway2000.
You weren't browsing for shit. You were directing to exact addresses. You know.
You guys even remember Gateway computers with the cow?
Yeah.
Do you know where Gateway computers are made?
I have no idea.
Of course,
Sioux City, Iowa.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess you're familiar with them.
We still have the big cow painted buildings.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet it's faded.
It's
Shopcat. Hi, by the way. I don't know if I said hi because someone was talking, but Shopcat, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, the guy who originated all that was a huge car guy, by the way.
Yeah,
he had a huge car collection, and
it's funny how lots of rich people do have huge car collections.
Well, when you have a bunch of money to buy on stuff, it's a good place to dump. I mean, man, this really cuts because I want to say the C word, which is
cuts.
Right? It rhymes with propane, but it's with a C. And race cars and cars, they cost about the same, from what I've told, as far as habits go.
Not following.
Oh, you're not.
None of this computes. Iowa.
Iowa. Let me see here. I want to see if we're demonetized already.
Oh well, he'll have
we're 20 minutes in. We should be.
Nope, not yet. We'll see. We got a long way to go.
Make it.
So I don't know. That pissed me off last week because they just shut it off.
Every time you talk about it, you start cussing. So you just calm down there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what did it.
Yeah. Well, I didn't talk about it last week. It was after we figured it out. Oh, at the very end? Yeah, but then I fought it and they turned it back on. So obviously they didn't make it to the end.
Fox, that is a fact. Bob Seger is definitely better than Metallica. I don't know about that. Bob Seger.
So
Bob Seger. My dad was a huge Bob Seger fan.
Here's
so
my
I
fundamental problem
way too much.
with Metallica. I'm not going to say they're horrible. I'm just going to say I could turn on 100 Metallica songs and get lost in knowing where I'm at in that music. Because it can literally just bleed one into the other and you'll never even know where one starts and one begins.
Oh, no, that's true. If you get different albums, the albums do not, because they reinvent, especially some of the older stuff. I mean, there's a spot where they have a whole album where they try to be Pantera. They don't do a good job. Or maybe not Pantera. What is it? The Slipknot, I think is what it is. It's Saint Anger, I think, is the one that's on there. That whole album is Saint Trash.
I was a fan of the 598 EP. That album made me laugh.
Yeah.
There were some funny songs on the 598 EP. But,
I don't know. They had played their best. I mean, music before I was even like coming up into the music scene. When I was really getting into music, it was Load and Reload or whatever were the albums they were putting out. And it was just like, this is not.
This is a load.
Yeah, I see why you called it Load. I just don't know why you reloaded it after the first one. No, let's go into what we should have started instead of music. Cars.
Yeah, you went way
off. Oh yeah,
cars because we are very different on that because I'm Japanese, crap boxes.
2000s, like some kind of teenager.
Well, because I am, and you are old cars like Jim should be collecting as an old man.
So this is something I say all the time.
Yeah, you are an old soul for sure, dude.
I do not enjoy the cars of my youth. I think most of them are crap. I want to collect the cars of my father's youth.
I don't know. The Japanese import scene was cool cars for our youth. You know what I mean?
Not Iowa.
Well, I mean, you guys probably didn't have much Supras or I don't know, man. Nissans. There were so many cool cars, man, of that time frame. They just weren't necessarily here in the States.
You know what the foreign cars that people drove in this area? Hondas, CRXs, Acuras, and then those guys hung out with the guys that souped up Cavaliers and Sunfires. So they lost all respect. To just
wait a minute. What car did you soup up, and what was the one that you souped up?
So I retaliated by souping up a very vintage, stockish 76 AMC Gremlin, because America.
No, not that one. The other car, the front wheel drive cars that you dumped a bunch of money into.
Well, those were later. Those were Buicks. You didn't know they were racy cars. Okay.
Yeah, I see. You see what I did there, right? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Those were not cars I was trying to be like, hey, look at my cool car. Those were
No.
just daily drivers that went faster than
Fun
other
cars. And that's what I'm saying. There were good cars of that nature in our growing up, but we had a lot of crap ones in there too. And we did not have as many iconic, I think, cars of the era you lament about, like your father's era, because we didn't. We had a very small, different type.
So my first vehicle was still a 72 GMC pickup. So
yeah, you're just born a couple decades wrong, essentially. Yeah.
Well, when I was
a boy,
when I was a teenager and getting my license,
did horse and buggies had a license?
Buggies.
Or
did you have to register the buggy?
Other than the horse and buggies, we were driving.
Horse's name was Chit.
We were driving muscle cars, but late 60s, early 70s stuff.
Yeah.
But it's this. Imagine 1987. Those cars, like a 71 Chevelle or 70 Chevelle, only 17 years old, but all of them were freaking rust buckets.
Oh yeah.
69 Camaro, 18 years old. Rusted to the ground. I've seen better Camaros these days just sitting around and back. It was weird because nowadays a 20-year-old car doesn't have any rust. There are plenty that do. But
I can show you a lot of Toyotas trucks that have frames that went.
Oh yeah, well those. Okay. I'm just saying comparatively now a 20-year-old car is probably in better shape, and there are a lot more people driving 20-year-old cars now.
Yes,
that is true. That is true. There's a lot more people driving 20-year-old cars.
Facts. Yeah, there's a lot more people that say their 20-year like is $15,000-$20,000 for some freaking reason, and
I will say this. It wasn't that long ago that I ran into somebody was like, yeah, my old beater, I finally went and got something new. And I'm like, what's your old beater? Oh, it's a 2016. And I was like, get out of here. Like, that's new. Yeah. That's so new it hurts.
my beater's an 05.
Yeah, so is mine.
All right. Well, I say that to people, and I've been saying that for the last 10 years that my beater was an 05.
Those people then.
Well, here's the thing. I knew that truck was going to become the beater. I just made that decision before it was really there. Yeah.
But I was right there at the beginning of the mainstream overdrive transmission and fuel injection. So that was
all them people going, that stuff will never work.
I was so in when I graduated high school in the fall of 1989, I started going to a General Motors school, and that's all we learned was fuel injection and stuff like that. So yeah, it was interesting, but it was definitely a change as I went from working at a gas station to working at a car dealership, and I had been working on a lot of carbureted vehicles with still with 3-speed automatic.
Well, and that's a good point to make. You look right now and you say, okay, a mechanic that has been in the mechanical field for 20 years may have never worked on a carburetor or touched a timing line.
Yeah, and never worked on a car that didn't have a scan port to plug your scanner in to tell you what's wrong with it.
Yep, because that happened in '96.
Yeah.
That's OBD2.
Yep.
My '89 Camaro has OBD1.
Yep. Well, my dad's '84 Cadillac will give you codes through the radio.
Yeah, you can get the codes. You can get the codes off my Camaro by, and this is how I used to do it because I was too poor to buy a scan tool, a paper clip. You just pop the paper clip in, and the check engine light will flash. And you just have to.
That's how my '95 Ford is.
I had a Jeep that would do that.
Yeah, pretty much anything up until '96, you could do it that way. So that was
worked great, as long as you didn't blink. If you blinked, then it
was
you're starting all over. Yep.
Gotta wait for it to go around again.
Blinked.
And if you had more,
see, I remember coming up in that age of like sticks were getting harder to come by. Like I remember when I was younger, sticks were like for poor people, so they were in the cheaper cars. And then as I got into actually buying cars, they were the more expensive cars. Well, not even that. Like the Holy Grail truck's a 12-valve Cummins long. What is
Well,
it? Long
that's a
bed with a
truck.
stick or whatever. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, Toyota Tacomas everyone wanted the one with the stick in it.
Yeah, and now you look back and you go, when's the last time they put a manual in a non-commercial vehicle? It's been 20 years.
Yeah.
So
Because that was the best thing when we'd go overseas, go to the desert. Whenever we would go anywhere, they'd give us little Nissans, little crap box trucks from Toyotas, whatever, and they were all manuals, and no one could drive. That was another reason why I drove everything. Like, you'd be surprised how many grown people are just a stick. I can't. I'm like, we're in a war zone. You're gonna tell me we're just gonna sit here and die because you can't drive that? Like, no one thought to. Good thing I'm here, I guess.
Put her in a gear and send her to the red.
Whatever. If you can't find them, grind them. I mean, I taught so many people how to drive stick on those poor cars. God, those poor things.
But there are a lot of manual transmission cars these days. It seems like that's come back around.
Has it?
I mean,
Has it? Oh,
Skynet.
you got Skynetted.
that or
Maybe.
Starlink is sucking today. But anyways,
we don't have anything bad to say about Starlink over here, Mr. Elon.
All right. Well, anyway, Starlink is great and wonderful. And
please don't shut off my internet.
Please, Elon. I was just saying that you see a lot of Corvettes and Camaros that are manual transmissions these days.
But are they?
I don't know. I mean,
help! Send internet. We're in trouble. We have no Wi-Fi.
That's what I can't hear you.
Oh God! Oh man!
So there is a lot of sticks out there when you start talking about Corvettes and some of these better vehicles, but there's sticks that anyone can drive. I watched them take a new Corvette, I don't know what generation, and be like, look, it's the first manual that you can just put in 6th gear and let out the clutch and it'll drive up to its top speed if you have enough road. And it's just like, what?
Is that really manual?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's like them saying the Linko or whatever with the freaking levers is a freaking stick. I mean, realistically, it's got a hydro clutch.
No. Then if you want to play that game, automatics with a manual shift body aren't automatics.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Which side are you going on? Which side do you jump onto on this?
Which side do you play this game?
Oh, listen.
But if you want to go that route, you can get an electric car that drives for you.
Like this guy, he's got an electric car that's driving for him, right?
He's got a rocket. Look, he's going to the moon.
I think I'm sideways.
You are. It's fine.
I mean,
don't worry. Nobody listening to this in podcast form is gonna know.
There you go. We're all.
It's like
I don't see any bad decisions behind you there.
No. Well, they've already been dropped off. I got other ones.
Oh, okay.
There we go. I'll do that.
Well, now I feel left out.
Now I feel weird.
It's been a long day. I started at like 5:30, and I'm the nice thing is we did get the SRT8 Jeep moving under its own power now.
Oh,
that's
sweet.
good. Oh yeah. Oh, Kazakhstan internet.
It's probably a smoke cloud. Don't worry about it.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, Dudes has some things to talk to you about the smoke you guys are sending south. He's not happy about it.
Yeah, my son's not happy about it either. He's in Minnesota. He is not happy about all the smoke.
No.
There's a lot of smoke here, yeah.
The old Kanaka stands need to quit burning that place down,
I'm just like, that's a normal thing in Oregon. You guys are just getting it earlier in the year than we do.
It's a pretty normal thing here. People say it isn't, but it is. It's pretty bad this year, and it's really a little farther south.
Well, it's supposed to be an El Nino or something this year. It's going to be the end of the world or something.
Oh, again?
So I thought I was in a war zone yesterday.
He did. He sends me videos of this, and I was like, "Yeah, that's what the end of days looks like, man." What do you whatever.
Our air quality meter just said dangerous. I mean,
yeah, don't go outside. What? All right, Mongrels. I think we're losing you there, bud. Yeah, it's getting very. Give us a thumbs up if you ever come back there, bud. And I'll crank you back.
Yeah,
I'll crank you back, bud.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't even mute it, did I? Did I mute it?
No.
I'm trying to. It won't let me.
Whoa.
Oh. See what you can do there.
What, like this?
Oh, wow. That's just he's gone. We'll get Mongrels back at some point.
This little screen will start moving down there.
Sound.
Mute mic. There. I muted his mic.
See, all of those things can
He's
be
not
happening.
moving though. Oh, he's black. Yeah, he's gone. He's gone. Black screen
Can't
down.
say that.
Nice, Fox. Nice.
Oh.
He gone.
Bryce, what is up, brother? I Spy Garage. How you doing?
Hey, there he is.
He's man of the hour right there.
Oh yeah.
So, Jim,
Oh.
not to talk about cars of your youth, but being back in the 80s, was there a lot of people driving 30-year-old cars then as dailies?
Jim's gone, but he's there. He was frozen that whole time. I was like, Jim's gone, man.
The Starlink gods are not looking favorably upon me tonight.
Did you catch any of that? What he just said?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. All right. Are you ready, Jim?
I'm ready.
If I speak slowly, the internet may let you hear it.
Nope, he's froze. He's froze. Look at him.
Oh, he's All right. So in 1980s, as you speak back and you lament on your youth, was there a lot of people in the 80s driving 30-plus-year-old cars as daily drivers?
No.
Really?
No. That would be, so 1980, 30 years from that would be, 50. So no.
Because see, like my father, when I was being driven around in the 80s, he drove around in 56 Chevy cars.
Okay, so I have always lived, a stone's throw from DC. So
new cars were pretty.
So
yeah,
it's
that
always
makes a lot
been
more sense.
it's always been suburbia, the suburbs, and
Yep.
so,
Our family car when I was 4 was a 56 210 4-door.
yeah. When I was a kid, we had some VW buses, and we had some station wagons.
So I grew up in an older car than you did. Sweet.
Yeah, and then in 1984, when the minivan came out,
Nice.
my parents were first on the block to get one.
Oh wow! Before it was a sign of bad things, they were like, "This is the new hotness."
Oh, it was the Magic Wagon that was right in the back. They called it the Magic Wagon, and my mom actually got shit for that at church.
Yeah,
it was devil worshiping. It says Magic Wagon on it. She had to peel that off before she went to church.
Because the magic, I forgot.
Well, look, because magic can only mean one thing apparently.
She has had one ever since 1984.
Some people like shaggin' wagons, man.
Getting another, They're
a versatile vehicle.
I've put a lot of miles on a Dodge minivan up and down the East Coast, and they hold a special place in hell for me. But
oh yeah, I believe that. Yeah, I have a very popular video on fixing the power window in a minivan.
Well, the Navy used to like to be like, "Oh man, it's going to cost this much to fly you guys there, and it's going to cost this much to get a train." What if we just buy you guys 4 minivans for rentals, and you just drive from Virginia Beach to Fort Knox, Kentucky? That's cool, right? Just
that
do that.
Sounds awful.
Or hey, why don't you just drive from here to Florida, and you guys just go all the way down there and do your thing, and then drive back? That's literally how we did a bunch of things in early 2000s.
So in the early 2000s, my dad bought up a bunch of essentially early 80s caravans, and we burned through those things as quickly as humanly possible. My sister did a really good job of making sure everyone she drove didn't come home. So, things happen. You leave it in second gear and you drive down the interstate and you go, I don't know why the tack was doing that. And other ones, you ditch jump them and roll them, and they bounce back. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's the only instances I had with Dodge Caravans. But it does surprise me because I grew up in an area where you did see a lot of older cars, even up into the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, I drove at 16 a 72 Chevy pickup, and that wasn't that uncommon to see.
Well, now I recall going places, other places. I'd go to Florida, visit my grandparents, or go visit them in Connecticut, and I'd see a lot more older cars outside of the DC area, for sure. And in fact, I remember a trip to. My mom was actually a minister, and we went to Vero Beach, Florida, to do a wedding or something. She was doing a wedding, and we stayed with this family, and they had a bunch of really nice old hot rods, and that's one of the reasons I like old cars was from that trip. I mean, this guy had stuff from he had 40s, 50s, 60s stuff. One of the things that I really liked that he had was a 67 Firebird, which is, and I had a 67 Firebird, and I always remember that one in Vero Beach. But yeah, anyway.
We had Lincoln Town Cars were the family car, 80s, late 80s boxy Lincoln Town Cars, and we had multiple of those until late mid 90s when we went to Dodge. We got a Dodge conversion van, brand new, and he got a 97 Dodge. What is it? The 4-door, but not the is extended cab, not the 4-door truck, 1500.
Huh. Yeah. Nope. We drove 50s cars. We had some 70s cars for a little while, big land yacht boats. And then we jumped straight into 70s era Suburbans. And then our newest vehicle that we had growing up was an 84 Suburban. That was a big buy for our family. And that was our family vehicle forever. My dad still drives that vehicle. So
now in 1988, I did have a 1950 Buick 4-door special with a straight 8. That was a neat car. And I drove that to school every now and then. It was pretty neat. But I mean, I had even back in high school. I mean, I had that Buick. I had a '64 Impala Super Sport, a '75 Camaro, '71 Chevelle that I still have. I had a bunch of cars. I had a VW Bug then. That was my first big flip. It was a $25 Bug from the high school auto shop that I drove all winter. Destroyed it. I mean,
hey, gone.
No.
Mine was I made poor vehicle decisions at first and probably for a long time after. I started with a Ford Club Wagon van and then went to an Isuzu Amigo. So it was an 83 van to a what was that Amigo? It was a 99 Amigo, Isuzu Amigo.
I had
pretty
new,
actually.
That thing was pretty new. Well, I bought it in 2002, so it was newish.
Yeah.
Little 5-speed, man. That thing was actually pretty decent for the little Barbie Jeep that it was. And then I bought the Z.
Your list of cars is sad.
Well, from the Z, I had a Jeep, and then there's a couple Toyotas.
Not getting better.
A bunch of other. Yeah, I don't need to own any field of weird old cars.
Yeah,
Field of dreams. Field of dreams.
Field of nightmares and rust.
Sounds pretty nice to me.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Oh yeah? Oh yeah?
If you build them, they will come.
No. If you pile them, they will rust.
I think you need
That's the
more.
t-shirt. That's the t-shirt with the hoarding. If you pile it, they will rust. Yes.
I think you need more 60s Chevy trucks. That's what I think.
Well, so I do have a 78 El Camino stashed away. But
I got 87, 271s, and 265s.
Yeah. I don't have any love for old. I mean, I've worked on plenty of old vehicles and had them come through, or older vehicles and whatnot, but they are dreams.
That's true, Fox.
I was just clarifying what type of dream it was.
Technically, nightmares are definitely dreams.
Yep. Well, I feel like you need to really call out that it's a nightmare dream, not a good one.
I mean,
everyone just assumes it's a good dream.
Look, if your nightmare is a field full of old vehicles, then our nightmares are vastly different.
Yeah, that's a pretty good nightmare to me.
No.
Yeah, that sounds like a dream to me.
No, here's the nightmare. It's a field full of old cars that you can't and won't ever do anything with, and you only just get to watch them rust away. And for eternity, you're just stuck there watching them rust away.
I get to appreciate them.
Yeah, you don't get to play with them. You don't get to drive them. You don't get to fix them. You just get to watch them rust.
Do I get to tell people about them?
No, well, in this layer of hell, no, you don't.
Right.
You don't get to talk about them. Yeah. You do get to look at you don't get to touch them and feel them, and you get to covet them, but never actually get them and just watch them deteriorate in front of you. Well, I mean, we're making it a hellscape. I'm trying to make it bad here. I'm not trying to make it better.
Oh, I mean, I thought you were trying to make it realistic that you have a field full of vehicles that you don't work on. That's okay.
Oh no, I don't. That's other people.
Maybe some of you need to start listening to some of my daily auto motivationals.
Listen, I love the fact that you're automotivating people. However, don't you have a pile of things that aren't getting worked on too?
I work on them all the time.
That's how you become a specialist in your field.
I literally work on them every day.
All of them?
I'm just saying, if I'm going to talk to a guy that's going to explain to me how to stay out of jail, I want to know that he's been to jail a few times.
Okay. So that's you're going with it. My guidance counselor has to be a real F up for a long time before you can tell me what I need. Exactly. What do you know, man?
Look, here's the thing, right?
High button polluting guy tell me what I'm doing wrong.
Here's the thing, right? If I had one project car, it would be done.
So done.
I don't need to be motivated to work on one project car. You have to get to a critical mass where you have so many project cars that you then need motivation. So I mean,
motivation, yeah, we're all there. I have a project car that's done. It's done, and you know what I do with it? Nothing ever.
Well, it's not a project car anymore. Then that's the thing.
It's just a car.
It's just a car now.
Why haven't you sold it yet and gotten another project car? I don't understand.
Because I made poor financial decisions and will never be able to financially recover from this.
Okay, yes, then you just need to go get another project car.
I have one of those. I just haven't finished it.
I have become
then you need to start listening to my auto motivationals.
No, because I listened to my own motivational and just stopped working on those for now.
Well, then, okay, that's fine. As long as you're working on some sort of project vehicle.
Oh, no, not a project vehicle.
It's a
some sort of project.
No.
It can be legally driven on residential street.
No, I'm not even worried. I don't consider what I'm doing with the side by side thing. No, I'm saving for property. That's what I'm working on. I'm working on trying to do property as my next project, which is that's what's really put all of the actual projects on hold. Is I can't justify the 5 on this one and the $2,000 and the 3, because it adds up after a while.
Okay, that would not be an auto motivational problem then. So
no, it's not an auto. Well, and the problem is that house problem is derailing my auto motivation.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I see. Except that you're going to try and get some property that's got a giant building on it, so you can work on.
Well, yeah. Once I get the property, I can then be like, well, now that I have this, I have all these cars to work on.
Makes sense.
I brought all the projects because I do plan on finishing them. I just cannot. I just can't bring myself to dump money into them at the moment.
No, I mean,
Now, once I have a shop to do something with, my space, because I have some room over there at my dad's place, but it's not my place, and that's become its own fun.
I got you.
It's become its own problem.
Well, you get to be speaking, this goes on topic here. We're back to the topic of being an old man. When you get your space, you're used to how your shop is, and everything in your shop is yours, and it should be roughly where you left it. And when you go to need something, you find it in your shop, like, oh, I don't remember buying this, but it's my shop, so I'll take it. That's great until you're sharing a shop with somebody else and you're not the dude that actually owns it, and your stuff is just the stuff that keeps getting assumed. And it's just, I get it, because I would do the same thing if it was in his position. it's just the way it is. And at a certain point, you come like, it's all mine. I'll do what I want. And I respect that. But I want mine over there. You know what I mean?
Hence the Milwaukee boxes.
That's some of it. I actually had to buy him one for Christmas because he kept stealing my little Milwaukee. I actually got this one right here that came with the ratchet and the little impact because he kept stealing it. I was just like, I'll buy you one for Christmas so I can have mine back.
So the big question is that his box behind you?
Part of it came the charger and something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you are collecting Milwaukee boxes for tools you do not own.
Oh, burn, hoarder.
Hoarder.
I actually was going to go over to the shop and get the rest of the Milwaukee boxes today to fill in this wall. So it's going to get bigger. I have more Milwaukee boxes. In fact, I'm just going to start finding.
We know you have more Milwaukee boxes.
What's going on with that drum set back there?
My child is a hoarder and doesn't want to get rid of it yet. So yeah,
because he's given up on it.
Oh yes.
All right.
Yeah.
As long as we're all on the same page.
Well, so right before Christmas, when I was
quitting is always an option.
Well, so right before Christmas, it was set up behind me, and I was like, "What are you doing with this drum set?" He's like, "Well," and I'm like, "Well, maybe we should sell this thing because it's around the time when people spend money at Christmas to buy their kids, you know, drum sets. That's the same way you got it." and he's like, "No, I don't want to get rid of it. I don't, you know, I'm going to play it." So I set it all up. He played it, and then we had company come in, and I was like, "We don't have room for a drum set. My desk, the living room." Because that's the problem with this place. It's a 2-bedroom, like 1,400 square foot, which is much bigger than people that live in smaller situations. But I
live in 1,100 square foot. Thank you.
What, the basement?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, exactly.
Just one room.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that 1,100 square foot you got right there. Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, it's a small space.
Oh man.
Build something. Jeez.
Well, you know, once I get the piece of property, but the problem is property out here, and this goes back to back in my day.
Well, I've already done research on this.
The property back in my day was $60,000 for a piece of land, like I'm looking at right now, 5 acres, nothing on it. Back then, yeah, that was very expensive. But you made what was minimum wage? What was your average annual income at back in?
When?
Let's say 1995. Let's go with
1995 minimum wage.
Well, don't go minimum wage. Just go minimum average annual income. Just go with that one.
$3.35 per hour. 1995.
Because you're talking about
it's $34,000.
34,000. And what was average home prices in 95?
95 average home value. Ooh. Maybe.
What is
average home? No, it's giving me weird numbers. It says 134,000.
That sounds about right. Now,
no. So there's states here. We got to go to Oregoni.
Well, if you want to go to Oregon, I can do it that way.
We're going to go to Oregoni. So 66,890.
Okay. So I was going with
2,000, 152,000.
So it jumped almost 90,000 in 10 years.
Yeah. So you expect a 90,000 jump every 10 years.
And well, because it's done more than that. Because in that, because they're over 200,000 now for these same pieces of property. But this is where the deal goes. So it jumped up that 90,000. But how much did your average income change? So you went from
36,000 to 60. So you doubled it.
So 60 is the average now?
Well, yeah, I'm betting. 1 second.
Okay.
Average.
So
based on inflation now is not enough.
Well, no, because at that point you've doubled your income, but you've tripled what the property's worth. That's where
down to Oregoni.
They don't.
Oregoni average income still is only 58,000.
58,000 now.
Yeah.
And average prices are what now?
Yeah.
I can tell you here, land with nothing on it. If you want 5 acres, is going to cost you $200K.
Yeah, so average income went up 15 grand over 20 years. Average cost went up, yeah.
Yeah, that's the number that makes me go, how does this math work? And I'm supposed to
what if you got, say, a job?
I would pay
That
more
might help.
Taxes. Okay, so
And
here's the deal.
potentially lose free income.
If I'm gonna say so, no, because they're not doing that yet.
Not
yet. Well, they're talking about it.
Well, you're gonna have to get divorced here soon.
Well, if that comes to the case, well, actually, she's making way more money. So here's the problem, Jim. With
That's
that
the point.
if I had the $400,000 to $500,000 in cash to buy a property here right now, I would not spend it because I've watched the property values come down and continue to come down the year I've been here. It's a bad investment time here.
Yeah,
not to mention rates and everything make its own thing. At this point, if you're buying anything that has anything done to it, everyone has gotten in their mind that their land is going to make them millionaires.
So, but the thing with that is even though we're having a show where we're talking about being really old, you aren't really all that old.
No.
And
in the
buying land now that is overpriced isn't going to be overpriced 10 years from now.
That is true, but the last time I bought homes was after it bounced off of the bottom and started to come out. And so I'm seeing a lot of the things I saw 2007 happening right now that makes every bone in my body say, don't buy it right this second.
Then every bone in your body should be saying, let me maximize my income as much as possible so that I have a big, huge pot of gold for when we hit rock bottom, I can get the best thing I possibly could for the money.
I have some things. I'm with you. I just don't. I have a problem with.
He doesn't have that kind of ambition.
I don't want to work for anyone ever again.
I don't blame you.
Well, yeah, and I have a job. I run a rental company.
Property manager.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, the military retirement is not what keeps these.
I thought you were just running around on your side by side a little bit.
Supple axle house lights.
Oh, I don't totally am riding around on my side, but I could totally go get another job. But at that point, it's going to jump me a tax bracket that is not worth it's not worth the job. I mean, realistically, at the end of the day, you know what I mean?
I hear you.
That's what it boils down to. My wife makes good money. She's a dental hygienist. And between my retirement and the rental company or rental income, if I was to pick up another job, I would go into a tax bracket I don't want to be in at this point for that effort.
Yeah, makes sense.
I actually got a job offer just the other day to go work at a mechanic shop. And I'm just like, I don't want to. Everyone thinks being a mechanic, they're just like, oh yeah, that's awesome. You get to do what you like all the time. Like, I don't know anyone that's a mechanic because they like being a mechanic.
That's why I stopped being a mechanic.
Everyone that I know that works on their stuff is just they don't want to pay someone else to do it because it's ridiculous. And they're like, well, I'll just do it myself.
Oh, I said the best way to learn about cars is to not be able to afford to fix yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have done a couple of bar mitzvahs that
Sasquatch. I like it.
Snap into a Slim Jim. Jack's links. Catch the link. So my dad brings home things, and talking about
really that young either. Facts.
Talking about things that are old. He has been cleaning out an old train depot.
Oh, nice.
So he's been bringing home a lot of weird tooling for train stuff. And he donates a lot of things from said train depot to the actual train museum. So he was going through a bunch of stuff, and he can write it off on his taxes at the end of the year. So he's all about it.
Behind here.
So he was in an upstairs bathroom at a train depot that predates like the 1800s. And he found a picture above one of the stalls because it's like an enclosed space. And it's a picture of a geyser. What's the most famous geyser? Old Faithful?
Oh, Old Faithful, yes.
Yeah. So it's a picture of Old Faithful with a Northern Pacific handmade frame. And the back of the photo, it's dated, made in Minnesota in 1892.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm going to give it to the train museum because it's a train artifact, essentially. But the back of the picture was actually essentially matted with newspaper. So, it's an 1899 newspaper, and they're talking about Victorian, buggies and, women getting stolen by bandits. And then you start sitting there going, that's old,
Jesus.
but it wasn't all that long ago, realistically.
Not really that long ago. Well, we've also, especially just in the generation we're talking about, condensed time.
Oh yeah.
Being able to go back and see and hear things from time, time's done this weird thing in our generation. You know what I mean? Life expectancy's gone through the roof, all these other things. There's so many things that happened in our generation that other generations could have never imagined. Well, imagine your generation, Jim, that went from like no power to like people on the moon.
Yes, I remember when we just had
think about those people that are still trying to get internet in their home.
But they're seriously. That's, I see what you did there. Don't worry, I got that space internet. It's fine.
Yeah, it's great.
It's great.
Win the space.
Great, I love it.
No, but seriously, there are people that in the United States that, well, they may be dying off now at this point, but grew up with no power in their house somewhere in the South or somewhere not even just the South, in a lot of places, and now
no indoor plumbing,
and now have cell phones. You know what I mean? That's a wild jump in tech, and it's not like a third world country. Like that shit didn't exist.
I mean, you can just say like every person that's 100 years old this year, right, was born in 1923.
Yeah.
That's a long time
You become
ago.
isolated in your age, as in now, and you think, oh, back then 10 years ago, when realistically there's people that have lived well past 100. There's people that died 20 years ago that were 100. And I've met people that, talk about, well, in World War II, I actually met a guy when I used to install TV, and he was in World War I and couldn't go to World War II because he was crushed by a tank in World War I. It broke his hips in multiple places. He was in a wheelchair. Okay?
And they were like, yeah, we're not taking you.
Yeah. So no, you can't go to World War II. You're in a wheelchair. So he went to college.
I'm sure he wanted to go too.
So he went to college, and he was all talking about, I was the first person to graduate from college after World War I. I'm sitting there like, there's a lot of people that can't say that still, So it's like for him to say that, as old as he was. And then he turned back around to, in the late 80s, they came up with this cool surgery to replace my hips with all these titanium points, and I walked again.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what? To go from wheelchair from World War I all the way to 80s and then walk again. And now he's 100 and some years old and he's walking around his house, and it's just like, wow, that's a good life story at the end of the day. And you can honestly say back in my day and all these things that we like to use, that man's literally seen it all.
Well, and there was a whole generation of that man, you know what I mean? That story, just imagine
we're just worried about how much bigger the TV can get.
I know, exactly. Imagine being a child glued to your freaking radio, listening to the first people to land on the moon. And now I have TikTok on my phone.
I don't care about none of that.
It's just
the emphasis of history and time gets lost on the youth.
Dilation. That's what I thought that's what you meant there, Dean. That's some what was that movie with Interstellar time warp stuff right there.
It's the difference of why kids like to see things get destroyed. I feel, you get a lot of people that just want to see things get blown up because they have no appreciation for anything because it was always there.
Yes and no. I think, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean blown up? Like taking down statues or like Whistling Diesel destroying something?
Just people destroying stuff. They find it humorous to watch things get destroyed because it's just meaningless things.
No, I think it becomes more than that. That's things they know. No, I think they could know they could never afford those things or could never afford to just destroy things like that. And that idea becomes novel to them. That's why people that give... It totally is. People that give money away. Like, look at Mr. Beast. That dude has gotten really big since he started showing how much money he was spending and putting on. Oh, I'll just spend a bunch on this, and they're like, "Oh, I love this dude. He just gives his money away."
But the weird thing about all of that is you are right that there's a whole generation of people that are like, "Oh, I'll never have that kind of money." Why is there a whole generation of people that feel that way? Like, I don't own a Lamborghini right now, but I still feel like maybe one day I'll own a Lamborghini. I haven't given up on that. or on any of that. I don't. Why do we have 20
I'm gonna have to
something
say I've given up on Lamborghinis.
Well, I mean that's fine.
I also have to say that I have given up on my Lamborghini.
Okay, all right. I don't know. How about
Murcielago LP12? I wanted it so bad. I still do want one, but I've given up on the fact that they're garbage, and I know that now. I understand that I picked
knowledge
the wrong,
overwhelms need.
I clearly shouldn't have picked Lamborghini.
You obviously shouldn't, because you're talking to the wrong two dudes who both probably had aspirations of owning one at one time and then just have grown up.
Okay. Oh. Pick something that you really like that you don't have yet. Okay, let's just go with that.
80 by 100 foot shop.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
there you
60 by 100, because I don't need the extra girth. I mean, let's not be greedy.
I can tell you 60 by 60 is not enough.
I know that.
For sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you know, listen,
but you're already 60 wide, so you can expand. I mean,
exactly, because you can just keep getting bigger. Enhance. Yeah, we have a problem. It's a very similar problem. Chip's like, I'm gonna stop talking to you guys.
Okay, well, yeah.
The
internet's going out, guys. God,
oh no, it's startling.
Oh, dude, it's knocking me out.
The moon landing, I don't know. I love conspiracy theories. Let me tell you.
Here's the point. Was there a point to actually go to the moon? Who cares? You know?
I mean, obviously,
if it was real, if it wasn't real.
Okay, so there's obvious point to go to the moon, because if it was made of something that was potentially life-changing, like gold or something like that, that's something that need to go get checked out.
Okay, so here's the thing. Even if we said, hey, the moon is full of gold, and we went up and got the gold from the moon, now we have moon gold.
You can't actually technically get the gold, because I watched a video just on international space law, and it's kind of wild.
Because it doesn't own by anybody.
It can't be owned by anyone, but then everyone basically everyone's basically like, we're pirates and we'll do what the fuck we want anyhow. So
like the ocean.
The real reason we went to the moon,
it's like the ocean, exactly,
was because Russia beat us to space. So we had to beat them to the moon.
Oh, yes. But then by that, you can go back to this and be like, at that point, it's a measuring contest. I think if we were going there to see if there were resources there that could be used,
we just zucchinied in the pants. That's all we did right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's if you were going there to see if there were resources to be taken, it makes sense to go do it. If you're doing it just for a measuring contest, then it could totally be that.
But let's say there is moon gold.
Oh, I do kind of. If I had I got to talk about this. I'm sorry, I have to talk about this right now. If I had a farm and could justify it, I would totally Jeremy Clarkson and buy a Lamborghini tractor. Just saying.
Just to say
I would. We had a Lamborghini golf cart in Sicily, which was the coolest damn thing I wanted to steal.
I bet it was.
Yeah, well, it was actually
a golf cart.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Becky, how are you doing? Thank you for coming in. How are you doing tonight?
So, space gold.
Space gold.
If you were to take away gold from from space, and you had moon gold, wouldn't that just completely devalue the gold we currently have, or would that add to the gold? Like, because establishing value on a shiny rock, I have always felt is a bad idea.
So,
well, it depends.
All I have to say to you about that is blood diamonds.
Facts.
Diamonds are worth a lot of money. They are certainly not rare.
Exactly. And now we can make them. So,
and they're still worth a lot of money.
Still worth a lot. And anything you get from the moon is obviously going to cost so much to get that it'll then make it be expensive. Exactly.
Yeah, some of it's
gold is just, I mean, realistically, the best thing to find up there would have been some shit we don't know about yet.
Yeah.
Unobtainium or vibranium or whatever the crap you want to call it. And then that's what, but the problem is going to be, okay, now if you start taking dense material away from the moon and making the moon lighter and bringing it to Earth and making the Earth heavier, is that going to do some weird stuff?
Science questions.
Well, these are things that I'm grossly inadequately prepared to answer. But I just go, if you take a tire and take a bunch of weight and put it all at one side, it starts to rotate a little funny.
True.
Because we do this thing on Earth where we take things from point A to point B, but at the end of the day, it's all kind of staying on the rock kind of deal. I guess we are shooting a bunch of stuff into space. So does that make our planets, if we're mining ore to make metal and then shooting it into space, does that make us lighter?
I think you're overthinking it.
Listen, completely off
It's
topic.
all, we're not pulling resources from the sky, so all those things are static items on the Earth.
On the Earth, yeah, exactly.
Oh, so we're throwing ourselves off axis by unbalancing natural resources we are releasing. Well,
into space.
It's in
That's
orbit.
why we have global warming.
Well,
gentlemen.
some of it's
because of the satellites.
No, not just rocket boosters. A lot of the rocket boosters are sent out to go to the sun and hopefully get sucked into the sun. There's one that actually, I can't remember which one it is. It's actually rotating around and comes pretty close to us and probably will hit us one day because it missed its trajectory because of a weird. I watch a lot of weird history stuff.
Maybe next week you could prepare a report for us on it.
Yeah, that'd be next week's episode. That's what we need. We need ideas for next week's episode, and I don't think conspiracy theories are a good.
No, probably not.
Those don't on topic at all.
No.
So I would like to know.
Gold does have a use, but it's I think used. Well, I don't know. What is it used more for? Commercial uses? Well, is it used more for that, or is it for pretty gold stuff at this point?
No, because they take in pretty gold stuff for like little to no money, and they melt it down, turn it into things. So
okay, well there you go. Alchemy.
So I will say this back to that: limited resources are always worth money. Helium, limited resource. We don't treat it like it's worth something, and we completely misuse it.
Yes.
We put it in balloons when it is a resource.
But what do you do with it outside of that?
It's actually used to cool MRI machines.
Oh, well, that'll make it more expensive one day.
Yeah.
Okay, you just took all of the fun out of owning a balloon. Okay.
A helium one.
Did he really pop your balloon there, Jim?
Yes. Now some small child somewhere that needs an MRI and can't.
The fact that Elon just stopped him in the middle of that sentence is even better.
Super conspiracy.
Yeah. You really need to watch these back, Jim, so you can watch when you disappear. It really
We're disadvantaging the cancer children.
Oh god.
Elon hates me today.
He really is
Hello, little Timmy. Would you like a balloon or would you like an MRI?
Compacting garbage. If we compact the garbage and put it in the center of the earth, it'll offset what we throw away. Okay.
Centering everything.
Centering everything.
But we're not throwing anything away. Realistically, it's created here. We didn't get space minerals to make those items.
But those items we shipped off and like say sent to the sun to disappear, that has now left and is not part of the. But the same thing. When they dammed up the Three Gorges, they say they made our days faster or slower because it changed the rotation a little bit. It's minute little tiny bits. But,
yeah, because I mean, water is weight, so
and moving it in different places throws things off.
But like tree leaves and humans themselves come out of nothing.
What do you mean come out of nothing?
A tree grows, right?
Uh-huh.
And seemingly comes out of
creates its own density and
yes.
Okay. So you're saying that we get heavy, I mean, like I said, grossly underprepared for this conversation.
Yes, because I would have to say that the earth is actually getting bigger
and more dense every
perpetually overweighting itself.
Yes.
Well, this goes back
50
to energy.
million years from now, we are screwed. We need to start.
We're becoming a bigger planet, like layers and layers and layers.
Yes, we need to start chopping down trees.
But I thought you can't create anything without consuming something else. Like you can't create energy from nothing. You can't create something from nothing.
Well, I mean, maybe so, but
because isn't a tree by existing consuming something else, which makes it. And it's always a parasitic
and then it compacts,
loss.
so it goes back down to like that's how we get diamonds and coal.
What is
I mean, those were large items that became denser.
Carbon, right? Carbon in the air, isn't that what trees consume?
That's in the air.
But doesn't
CO2?
weigh something at some point?
I don't
Listen,
know.
grossly unprepared for this.
Grossly, yeah. Grossly unprepared.
That's my next T-shirt. It's grossly unprepared.
I mean, just go back and ask the dinosaurs. You'll get all the answers you need.
But how do you get to where the dinosaurs were? You have to dig down through the earth to get to them.
I've seen
maybe
that
it's
movie.
just layers.
Yes, it's just layers.
Because they've talked about the Grand Canyon because of the way it's carved out. It's visual layers all the way through the Grand Canyon.
How's it going? I actually saw just a video on the world's deepest holes. And it's not what you think it is.
I mean,
what was it rated?
I don't even remember how deep it was, but the problem is once you get to a certain point, the one that I remember that stand out, the two deepest ones, once you get to a certain point in drilling, everyone's math and predictions and everything for how hot it was going to be and the friction and everything wildly off, and they got to a point where they literally couldn't dig anymore. The pressure and the heat were so much that you could not drill any further.
I could see that.
Wow.
And that was that happened at two different times in our history of advances, essentially. Like the second time they attempted, they're like, these guys were just grossly unprepared and we know so much more now, and they didn't make it much further.
Well, it's kind of like the same idea that we run into is like, we'll go trampsing around space and act like we're space explorers, but we have yet to traverse the entire ocean.
Facts. Yeah.
Work on that.
There's a lot of space. Well, there's a lot of space out there in the ocean that's just not been mapped. They have no idea what the fuck's going on out there.
Yeah. There's a hole down there somewhere. Where does it end? We don't know.
Oh, it's like what was that plane that disappeared out in the ocean? They're just like, yeah.
And it just essentially they found parts of it at some point, but it essentially crushed itself into oblivion once it got deep enough, evidently. So
yeah.
Don't know.
I
want to know how you can find the Titanic in like perfect condition.
Well, so the
Titanic was put there.
The Titanic
the pictures that came out this week. Of the Titanic.
Yeah.
Oh, like, I did hear they scanned it. Yeah. They're
that hurts my head. And they're like, it's because we disturbed it. I don't know.
Not because it hit an iceberg and sunk. That's
and it's just getting there's a lot of conspiracy around that. Like it wasn't even the Titanic that actually sunk, it was a different one, and it was all done because there was money and all these other things, and it was just huge conspiracy. And the thing is, I look back at that and go, wow, that's just crazy talk. It couldn't be anything. And then I hear about some of the things that they actually got away with and the things that countries and people have actually done, and it's just like the movies are actually not as far-fetched as you think sometimes.
No, the movies are a good example of what future thing will happen because that's where the idea came from.
Can be.
People need ideas. They can make ideas happen. They just need the idea to make it happen.
Is that so that's what it is? Science fiction becoming science because we just say it, you speak. Well, that is a thing in the military. If you don't say stupid things out loud because somebody may hear it and make you go do the stupid thing, like, oh, we should sweep the desert. Oh, that's a great idea. This sand looks crappy. Get the brooms. It happens.
Yep.
That reminds me.
Comb the desert. What have you found?
Yes.
We found.
I'm surrounded by. I love that movie.
Great movie.
See, that's another one that I can go back and we can lament on time. So I never watched Star Wars because my parents were not sci-fi people. But I did watch Spaceballs. And I watched Spaceballs enough times that by the time I got to the point in my life where somebody's like, you should watch Star Wars. I watched Star Wars like, why is this movie stealing all this stuff from Spaceballs? This movie's I honestly can't watch Star Wars without being like Spaceballs was better.
I remember standing in line to watch Star Wars in the movie theater. So,
Becky, I hope he's doing good. Yeah. You cannot move water to another place; it would displace itself.
Like evaporate. Yeah,
because we move water.
Pick up a pond and try to move it to another pond, it would evaporate over here. It couldn't stay there. It has to have constant.
Well, yeah, we do it with dams all the time. That's moving water, right?
Yeah, but it'll still dry up. Like you still got to flow it there.
Well, yes, obviously.
He's saying if you pick it up and just move it.
Oh, I don't know. We're so far behind the comments. That's probably not what he said, and we won't know until we get down there.
Well, that's true.
I'm going to talk for Toby here. And
Oh man.
I think that's what was meant by that comment.
I'm sure it meant something.
Compacted garbage diamonds. Now we're on to something.
They make diamonds now. They make diamonds that I've actually watched a show where they took these diamonds and they're like, these aren't real diamonds. Like, how can you tell? Because they're too good.
Yep.
It's like they actually look for discrepancies in a diamond to prove that it's real.
And you know why they don't just flood the market with those ones they can make? Because it would lower the value of the other ones, and then we don't make the money. So we just don't talk about that.
Yeah. So it's all just shiny rocks.
Yeah, that's why they have a giant vault full of them.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just, what is it? I was gonna say it's like in never mind. I was
The
gonna
De
do
Beers
something.
people.
Well, you know, De Beers, you can't even talk about De Beers anymore because they had to be broken up because they were a monopoly. Well, in the U.S., they had to be broken. I mean, I'm sure overseas they still continue to be De Beers.
Monopoly.
But yeah, one of those deepest holes in the world was started by the De Beers
Her
brothers.
name was Cassandra.
And was a you could find many pearls and oysters. No,
What?
in that crevasse.
In the crevasse.
Crevasse.
Nice.
That's a different film.
It's at a different topic.
Cassandra's crevasse.
So,
That's not a documentary. I saw that. Not a documentary, it turns out. Was really confused for a little bit.
Becky, are you dizzy yet? Have you fallen out of your chair?
This is not real science. Don't spin.
No, I would not use science to describe anything that's gone on in this talk tonight.
No.
Poorly repeated information. That's all we're doing here.
We are well, this is what you do when you become old. You just talk about things like you know exactly, and if it's old enough, no one knows any better to say anything about it.
And that's something to be said about age too. You know, there used to be heated discussions about any topic, and you could have a heated discussion.
Facts.
And now it's just like
party or in a bar. Yeah, and everyone's like, ask Google. Google. That'll settle
Google
this.
knows.
Which is nice to settle arguments, but at one point, is Google just telling you some bullshit on that?
Well, that's one thing, you know, you gotta
take with a
you
grain
gotta
of
look
salt.
at. People will Google, and the first answer they get is the one they're gonna dive on. Like, this is it. Google said this. It's like, well, but if you read the rest of that description, it says only in this circumstances is it that.
Well, and what stops
The other
somebody from going
circumstances
back?
no.
What stops somebody from going back and whitewashing the internet and just deleting portions of history
I have
they
met
don't
people.
like?
They actually do that.
I have met people. I have met people that collect old encyclopedias because they believe it's information in history that can now not be changed. Because the internet is wrong.
Oh,
The internet is wrong in lots of places. They definitely have changed things.
But there's the point. We will always relive the failures of our history because we'll just stop talking about it long enough that we can repeat it again.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
It's kind of like when 9/11 happened. I love when 9/11 happened. Not that's a bad way to say it, but
I was not paying attention.
Reeling away.
Totally started paying attention. Oh wow! Hold on, let me go check.
When 9/11 happened, there was a lot of people that were like, "This is the biggest catastrophe. This is the biggest terrorist event that ever has happened in the United States." And it's like, did you forget Pearl Harbor was a thing? Like,
so you're going to tell me Pearl Harbor was bigger?
I'm not saying it was bigger. I'm just saying it is a terrorist event that happened on American soil that started a world war.
Yes, a very similar. It was. I mean,
it's kind of a terrorist event, but
no, it totally was because we were unprovoked. We weren't at war with Germany, with Japan.
But
that was
like,
hey, look at the planes.
We just didn't have a word for it at that time.
But there's a difference. Okay, that was a country attacking us, whereas terrorists attacking us was not a country per se. It was an organization.
Well,
it was a terrorist. It was a terrorist state.
And that is, in fact, itself the point, because it's a lesser than thing attacking us. Like, it's an illegitimate country that's just like,
true. Yes, but that's why one's a terrorist act and one is war.
Okay.
War being bigger than a terrorist act.
I'll agree with that
Okay,
separation.
yeah,
But what I'm
yeah,
stating
yeah.
is it's the people that act like nothing's ever happened to our
True.
country.
True. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's like,
True,
you
I agree.
forgot history. That's why we went to World War II.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of that, unfortunately, that goes around where people just forget their history, at all, or want to just make up or cherry pick.
Well, and it
bits and
becomes a
pieces.
problem of perception because you say this event is the worst event, and oh my God. And then you don't realize there's so many other bigger events that have already happened that you don't even understand how they happened. It's like the people that like deny the Holocaust. It's like,
oh, that's just ridiculous.
What are you doing? It didn't happen.
Well,
I didn't see it.
It's like denying any. There's a lot of things
Flat earthers
deny happen. Well, no, not even flat earth, but just like, all right, well, I don't believe the plague happened.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The same people that are like, and I don't want to come off the wrong way. Well, the COVID's like the worst thing ever. Were you not around for like the Spanish flu? Like,
now, don't get me wrong, COVID was bad. Let's not, but there were worse pandemics, and we were way better off. I mean, do you want to talk to some Native American people what was it? Everyone down in South America when the Spaniards came over and just wiped everyone out with malaria and everything? Yeah, you know what I mean?
I'm gonna go talk to the Mayans.
I'm pretty sure the Mayans are pretty, not happy.
They're definitely demonetized now, but
I feel like those are world events, and we shouldn't. I'll fight that.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah,
but I know we get more talking about.
We get demonetized for some weird stuff.
I'm just, I'm putting things in perspective. I'm not going to go that much deeper into it, but it is. People have a problem with perspective, and I think age is a bigger deal in that. When you start talking about your age based on perspective, you can feel as old as you want to feel. It's when you start reflecting against the people that you don't like or understand anymore, and then you have to separate yourself from them by saying, I'm just older. I don't get this anymore.
Well, though, like speaking of 9/11, I recently watched a 9/11 documentary that my son brought it to my attention. He said, here's this 9/11 documentary, and these guys they were following a fire department around, and it just so happened they were doing this documentary on 9/11 in New York City, and they followed them into the towers and have real footage of everything that went on that day from kind of from a firefighter point of view. And it's a very, very interesting documentary. But he was talking about this thing for days. He was 5 for 9/11. So he had he didn't remember it like I did. So it was completely new to him watching that kind of footage. And I'm like, I saw that stuff live. I saw the plane fly into the tower, the second plane. I saw it live. So
I was actually sitting in the back of a pretty decked out Chevy Astro van with a small TV built into the ceiling that I had just freshly bought, watching that exact thing happen. And I remember that, where I was, what I was doing, the exact thing I was sitting in. And that's just one of those things. I won't forget that.
Oh, yeah. No,
that's a real event.
I was in photo class. I'm just wondering why you were in some van and I was in freaking first period.
I actually went to college classes in the morning, so I didn't have first period. So I was on the way back, and like everybody was talking about it, and everybody was calling people, and it was like, this is happening. So I'm like, I pulled over and turned on my TV.
I watched, sitting there on the TV in class, watched the second plane hit the tower. It was like, because they went to it. We were on the West Coast, and you saw the one was on fire, and I was just like, what happened here? And then I watched the second one hit it, and I was just like, that's not an accident.
I was
at that point, it was still like, what's going on?
So my son was actually having surgery that morning in a hospital near DC, and and they told us. I was in the waiting room and saw it, and they told us that they may have to cancel because they had just knocked him out. And
thank you, Becky.
And they were like, yeah, we might have to cancel it because at that point the Pentagon had already been hit. So they were like,
I couldn't imagine being in that.
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine being in that area at that time when all that went down, because I was over here as far away from all of that as you could be on the West Coast, you know what I mean? And I'm sure Iowa felt like a world away at that point too, but you were right freaking there, huh?
Well, I got eventual ex and my son back home, and then went straight to work. We had to set up because we're outside DC. We had to set up conference rooms and stuff because all of the people that work at the headquarters organization
Had to go
they
somewhere.
left DC. They were evacuating DC, so they left and
Yeah.
came out and worked.
Worked with. It would have been better if you had Skynet. Oh,
Hello, Skynet.
hello, Skynet. What can you tell us about our overlords?
Skynet.
The Challenger. I guess that was probably one of the first like live televised freaking.
Yeah, saw that too.
disasters.
Yeah.
I didn't. That one's before mine. I don't remember that one.
And see that perfect perspective. I look back on that, and I know there's a lot of people that were very like, "Oh, that happened," and Challenger.
Yeah.
There's a
yeah.
ton of conspiracies about that whole thing that I've read, but it happened before me. So for me, I never saw that. So
Yeah.
it's one of those things where I'm just like, I know it happened, but I have.
I remember all those.
I remember
stations.
seeing about it, and when we were kids, we learned about it, but we were too young to like see it happen or like.
Yep.
Yeah. What year was that? 87?
Yeah, I think so.
Challenger? Because
I remember that after the second, I think it was the second Columbia flight, it came through
86.
DC. They flew that thing back on the top of like a 757 or something.
yeah.
And it landed at Dulles, and I got to go out, a little kid, I got to go out and see the Columbia sitting on top of a 757.
Well, I remember when they brought in. What's the one that's sitting at the harbor there?
Well, there is a space shuttle at Udvar Hazy out near Dulles now.
Well,
that's
there's
that's a retired shuttle, and
there's 3 of them out there now. There was one over at by the National Harbor, and then there was one in the Smithsonian, the Air and Space Museum, and then I guess a third one out in Dulles, I guess.
Yeah, the one at the Air and Space, that's Air and Space Annex out near Dulles.
Oh, okay, that's the one. Oh, okay, cool. So there's 2
Space
out there.
stuff. I have no idea.
Yeah, well, it's cool. I mean, look, if any of you guys are ever in the DC area, go to Udvar Hazy Annex.
I never went the whole time I was there.
Oh man, you got to go. I mean, the Air and Space Museum downtown is really cool, but Udvar Hazy is huge.
I never went to the Air and Space downtown either.
I will say that, I've been to more museums outside of the city I live in than the city I live in. And there's quite a few actual historical museums in my city that I have never gone to.
Yeah. DC was just such a madhouse, man. And every time.
You got to take the subway to go to the Smithsonian.
Yeah. And I've heard lots of different ways, but to me, I was just like, I don't have any real need to go see all of. Like, I did the Naval Museum at the Naval Yard, which was kind of cool because I was forced to go to it. I've been forced to go to some other really cool museums. I just wouldn't go on my own.
Fair enough. But the reason the only museums I ever go to are automotive related or like Air and Space Museum because they're vehicles.
Yeah.
I used to travel around to a lot of automotive museums. Whenever I traveled with my job, I would just map them all out, and I would, drive really far distances to go to car museums. Weirdly enough,
you're not helping.
I call that content now.
Yeah, you're an old man.
Yeah,
it's content.
Yeah, that's what we're calling it now. We've just
automotivational content.
Yeah, yeah. We're just rationalizing our thing, whatever that is.
Well, it's kind of like go back to a time where remember buying magazines. Who does that anymore?
Oh, I love magazines.
Well, you had to, but I mean, on the same token of that, when you bought it, you owned that magazine. Now, no one owns anything anymore. You lease it, you rent it. You're like the software we make all of our content off. How many of us actually own the software we make content with?
I despise e-readers. I will not read a book or a magazine.
Well, they want to do it. They want to do it with your cars next. They want you to rent. I mean, it's not even lease. Your
rent options. BMW has already done it, haven't they? Mercedes.
Well, Tesla's same way. You buy a car with these options, and then when you go to sell the car, the options don't go with the car.
Yep.
But that
you got to activate the heated seats.
But that deflates the price of the car. I bought an item that you have now nerfed essentially for your own gain.
Yeah, but you can also say that about taxation on sales. So,
well, that's why I live in a state that doesn't have sales tax.
Yeah, because I just licensed another Fairlane, and that cost me $300.
Why did you
Yeah.
license the freaking parts car?
So what you have to do in this state, and they'll get really mad at you if you don't. If you have a car in your possession that you do not title in your possession, that's a big problem for them.
Why?
Because they can essentially seize anything that's not titled to you.
Well, I mean, they would have to find
It's a bunch of fines.
I have a lot of
Even if you were to want to go and scrap said vehicle or sell parts off the vehicle, if it's not in your ownership, they could essentially be like, "You stole it from the last guy." You didn't
do you have to pay? Do you have to pay taxes on that every year for all of those cars?
If you maintain the license. So what I do is I put them in storage.
He calls tags taxes in Iowa. He's weird.
Yeah, because that's taxes.
It's tags. Taxes you pay in Maryland when you buy the car, and then you pay tags every year for what do you do in Virginia?
Tags. It's every year.
In Virginia, you pay personal property tax.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
On any car that you own and have a title for, whether you have tags on it or not.
We don't do that.
Yeah, they're even worse. Oregon, it's like $100, maybe $200 or whatever, $210 for 2 years, I think, is what the tags are, and there's no sales tax when you buy a vehicle.
Okay, so for $30, I can put any vehicle in storage. Once I put it in storage, it's now frozen, and I don't have to pay for it, but I can't drive it or license it until I pay to get it out of storage.
See, I wish they did that in this state.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
It gets frozen. But here's the con on that. So let's say you pay for the whole year. My re-up is in December, so I pay it December. If I was to come in and say, I'm going to relicense this vehicle and take it out of storage in November, I would have to pay for the entire year up to November, even though I'm doing it at the end of the year. And the other thing is, if you wait, say I don't license this car, and I end up wanting to license it. If I don't license it in the first 3 years, I have to pay for the first 3 years if I try to license it 2 years, 11 months. You know,
I wonder what Oregon's gonna do that, because I like the Subaru I bought and never titled it. And I have title that's signed for me to do this, but the Subaru's just chilling.
Is it dated?
If it's dated, then it's possible they'll tax you. They'll back tax you to the date.
Well, Oregon won't, because Oregon doesn't have sales tax, so they don't give a shit.
But that's what I would. They'll look at you and be like, "We're not even going to title
Virginia, they would back tax you to what the date."
Oh well, of course. Well, that's why I got all of my. I didn't register anything in any of those states the best I could, because
makes sense.
Just what I'd pay in sales tax. That was the greatest thing about when I bought my 2 GMCs and registered them both in Oregon, bought them both one in Virginia and one in Maryland. And that saved me so much on taxes, registering it there. Because they're like, so we're going to need all this for sales tax. I'm like, no, you're not, because we're registering it in Oregon. So get wrecked. But then you got to go to the police and get them to do a freaking VIN inspection and do all this other bull so they can be like, you're not stealing it.
So here's the problem. If I was to take the vehicle I have and not title it and license it and just let it sit in limbo, and the person who then has the title, because even though they gave me a title, they signed it, it's still theirs until I license it in my name in the state of Iowa. So at any point, I could put this whole car together. They could go reissue a title and have the car in their ownership now. They don't.
Yes.
And then I would have to fight them.
Unless you had a bill of sale.
Exactly. You would have to and that's why the state has officially gone 2 years ago to you can't even title a car without a bill of sale.
Oh, really?
Yep. And if you forge the bill of sale, it's a $10,000 fine.
Well, how are they going to know?
No, that's the thing. Well, they take a copy of it, and then they want to ask you the seller's number and address, and so they can investigate it. And it's like, yeah, they're not going to get that.
I know where my DMV is, Becky, but that car is not getting done anytime soon, so there's no point to register. You know what I mean? That car is not driving anytime soon. So that's why the whole reason there's no point for me to go register a project car. It's a project I'm building and have not finished.
Oh, that's why I put those in storage.
Well, I feel like that's ridiculous. I feel like Iowa's a communist state, and that's all I have to say about it.
Communist state. Corn communism.
The corn commies out there taxing your cars. It's bull.
Well, I mean, I do believe, like, I just paid an absorbing amount of taxes to license my brand new Bronco. If I was to sell that Bronco to someone else tomorrow, he would have to pay the same absorbing amount of taxes to the same state again and again and again and again.
It's weird how that works, right?
Yeah. because
Well,
they've been
you know,
paid.
do you know who else runs a racket really similar to that? It was the mafia. They did a thing that was very similar to taxes. And you know who shut them down?
Federal government?
Yeah, because there can only be one. Right?
So,
Right, Jim?
completely off topic.
Don't
We're going to
say.
circle back around because I was upset about this morning. So, I went to the DMV. I showed up to the DMV, parked next to about 6 other cars, and unbeknownst to me, I went, man, they must be open. There's like 7 cars parked in front of this place. I'm going to have to wait in line forever. So I pay my meter. I walk in the building. They're not open. There's a nice elderly lady standing there, and she's like, they don't open till 8. And I go, oh, yeah, it's about 7:30. And we just stand there and awkwardly stare at each other.
Yeah.
So at about 7:45, people start coming in the door, and I realized all the cars outside had people in them because I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So then they walk in and give me this look like, we were here first.
Oh, get
and my response is,
no.
The line is in here.
Line starts here.
Go get having this verbal
absolutely bodied. Yeah, no, wrecked.
So when they finally unlock the door and they open the door, big older gentleman, he nicely holds the door for another lady and verbally mentions, well, I noticed you were here before me outside, and looks right at me. And everybody was like, I'm like, screw you guys. I'm the second one in line. Eat it. You needed to come inside and stand here. That's how this works. That's how lines work.
Yeah.
You suck.
What the hell?
F.
Yeah. So then we go inside, and they're not ready for us yet, even though they open the door. There's 8 people. Our DMV is really good. They have 8 stations open. They start, typing in their computers and logging in. Hey, we'll take you over here. We'll take everybody who was waiting got a person.
But you're upset because they looked at you because
and they're like making these rude comments. This guy's just being a jerk and evil eyeing me the whole time. I was like, do you know how lines work? Do we need to have some kind of confrontation about lines? And because you're some ornery old man that you just don't.
Well, here's the thing. Everyone's gotten to the point where you don't get out of your car. You just go through the line. I mean, Well,
and that's just it. Everybody that pulled up had this non-verbal agreement that I pulled up first, you saw me pull up, I saw you pull up. So that's the line. And when it opens, we'll all walk in together like this is some kind of camaraderie.
That's cool. Like, and you know what? If
fine,
you want to do
that
works. That works until the first person like you walks in and they're well, that rule has been broken. If I want to get in where I fit in, I go now. You don't get up and then start bitching about your spilled
that's
milk.
Crazy.
I would have told that dude I would have gotten us demonetized with the things I would have told that guy to go do at the DMV. Because literally you can take your old man ass back to your car, bud.
Yeah. I was kind of like, really, dude? Like, it wasn't even like I purposely did it. I was just obliviously thinking like, oh, there's cars out here. I just go inside and wait. And it's like, it's not open yet. I didn't care.
Well, whatever.
Because I understand how lines work.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I was just like, this was really just.
Now, don't get me wrong. I have done at a DMV the very same thing. And then I see people start going and I'm like, well, I guess I got to go stand up there in that line if I don't want to be at the freaking back of it.
And you can tell the people that all came in a flood, they're like, God damn it.
Yeah, because you're like, all right, this one guy started it. I guess we're all going to freaking go now and stand here for the next. But I've also watched that happen and be like, you know what? I don't care that much. I'm not standing for the next 25 minutes. I'll be 15 people back and sit in a chair inside. I don't care.
I don't care. Yeah, they did take away all the chairs. So.
Oh, well, so I haven't been to a DMV that sucks since Maryland.
That's just it. I will say this. Our DMV doesn't suck. They have like 8 people working in there and they just bang it out. Like it's just.
Yeah, Oregon's really good. I've heard horror stories about DMVs and then went to the Oregon DMV because my mom coming from Southern California was like, the DMV is the worst. So I was going to be a licensed driver. The DMV is the worst. It's, oh my God. And we went and it wasn't that bad. We waited for like 5 minutes.
So we actually have the DMV and then we have the licensing department. It's 2 separate places.
Oh, yeah. No,
so the only reason you go into the place I go into is just to license vehicles and pay for your.
So Maryland has places you can just go pay and do your license things, but they're not state places. They're
they have that's weird.
Maryland has a weird thing. Yeah.
Like if you go over to Nebraska, it's the same way because their actual place where you pay for your licensing is in the jail.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm just like, oh, this is weird.
Well, I mean, if they
I mean,
Find a
realistically,
warrant while you're
I was
there.
going to say any department can run that part of the DMV recording and whatnot with them. So if you have a jail department that's lacking, I guess you could just, with stuff to do, like, oh, we don't have a bunch of jail people, have them do the DMV stuff, I guess. Oh, it's that time, boys.
Time
That
to
time
get
of
comfortable.
No, it's that time of the night when my camera.
Oh, his camera said no, thank you, sir.
It's time to swap batteries. Which means we are coming up on the 2-hour mark. How are you guys doing tonight? I know Jim's got a long drive in the morning.
Oh, I've got a busy weekend for sure. And none of it's car stuff, which really pisses me off.
This guy. I have to make a car roll again so it can get out of my garage so I can bring another car that does already roll in. Yay!
How many times have you made that car roll?
To get out of the garage?
To get in or out of the garage because of whatever.
It's be number 3.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So
Seems legit.
Hey, it's not going to live in the driveway for almost a year. So that's not happening again.
Yeah, it's not going to live anywhere.
So yeah, no, this is the worst. It's not even. It's the worst. It's even worse than that. He's just gonna strip it for everything that he's gotten together for it for the last I don't even know how long.
2
And
years.
he's gonna go take everything he wants off of this one, throw it in a field until he decides to then do some other craziness with it. So it's not. He actually bought another car to finish this car, but he hasn't finished this car. He's just gonna go sit in the field and still never get done.
Yeah, it's officially gone to the land of misfit toys.
It was already at the land of misfit.
No. This is not the land of misfit toys.
No,
this is the land of almost driving licensed and insured vehicles.
That is literally the long name of misfit toys. Like you just said the exact same name, just long.
No. The misfit toys are where we go to forget about them. Like,
you're telling.
I mean, look, from the car's point of view, I mean, it was almost a running, driving car again.
It was
almost
a running.
It's almost been a running and driving car 3 or 4 times. What are you talking about?
Yeah, now we've circled all the way back around to just working on.
Yeah, always a bridesmaid. You might as well just dumped it in the field when it had all the crap on it.
I mean, it got close.
Oh,
if it would have rolled,
the problem is with that car is that even I, who don't like Fords and don't particularly like the type of thing that dude did to it, there was something about that car that I identify with that car. And to me, it's the wood molding that goes.
Reason for it to end up out in the field again.
Oh, totally. I totally get because it's so bad. That car is. The wood molding down the side of it, that's the thing that I take the most off of that. That is the thing that I am just like, I'm so mad that you pulled that wood off before you got any really good footage with it.
Well, I mean, it was going to come off at speed, so it had to come off.
I think you should have shown it coming off at speed.
There was a piece that was lost to the wind.
Somewhere I have photos I took of a import driving through Manassas with a plywood wing on the back.
Oh yes, I've seen some of that.
With 4x4, it had 2x4 uprights.
Listen, if he didn't have a sticker that says JDM AF on the freaking back of it, I can't respect him.
So here's the reality. Here's the reality we're playing, and it's something my dad said to me a long time ago. That car is so bad, the best thing you could do for it is take the radiator cap off and drive a new car under that cap and put it back on.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously.
But that is exactly almost what we're doing at this point.
Right?
Yeah.
What you got to do, what you really got to do, you got to make that video, man.
Oh,
the video is going to be made.
Oh, that would be a great video of you taking the cap off and the car just rolling away and another one rolling in. That would be such a great video.
And we fixed it.
That would be so
all
great.
Done. It's the best.
Oh, that's actually, I like this.
Oh, just make a video of your dad saying that, and
just get him to record. Oh, you can make a lot of little virals with that. I like this.
Oh man,
my dad's a very smart man when it comes to certain junk items.
Well, and I guess that becomes the thing, and we talked about this earlier in the show, and I guess we're wrapping back into it here. At what point you get to an age where you start going like, maybe they were right about a thing or two. Is that when you become old, when you're like, okay, maybe I should have listened? Because I have never done a great job of listening to what
when you
people
start
have told me.
explaining the things that they explained to you, and you're now telling others of the same things, going, God dang it.
Yes and no. I don't know.
Your own version of it, I guess.
Own version of it, yeah, I guess. At that point, you get to a point where you're just like, I have never been the guy who really takes somebody else's advice very well, but I am the guy that goes, I don't want to be like that guy, so I do my thing to not end up like the bad examples. If that
Hey,
makes
look who it is.
There's the poor decision.
Speaking of poor decisions.
I mean,
So is that one at least a track hawk?
no.
No, but it's an SRT.
So there's at least that, I guess. It's better than a 4-cylinder.
They didn't make a 4-cylinder.
Got nice rims.
It's got big brakes.
Well, it's got the Brembos on it and stuff like that.
So, since we're circling back around to this Oblivion,
Becky, have a good night.
restoration, repair, or tear down?
On this thing?
Yeah.
Repair.
Repair, yeah, I gotta say.
All right, well, I gotta ask: are they real Brembos or just plastic covers that go over top of the cowl?
Oh,
that does happen.
SRT, man. It's all real.
Okay.
That's good.
All right, just checking. I had
We picked this up at noon today.
Nice. I had a Ford Boxster
here's
that had
The old doors.
No, we can't see anything.
He got Skyneted.
yeah.
Oh no, I was just gonna get to the good part because I feel like that side is the.
Yeah, I feel like those doors over there.
Those are the doors off of it. Yeah,
That's the plastic windows.
That looks.
Under it.
Oh, that's a shame. I would love to see the side now.
I know. I want to see that pillar. How bad that pillar's pushed in.
Yeah.
Daly, what are you in Australia?
Well,
I know I still got Daly too. Oh, is he back? There he is.
Ah, he's back.
Oh, we can get the service there, but not.
Yeah. Not on the bad side. It doesn't like showing off the bad side.
Yeah, we didn't get to see the bad side.
We saw the doors for a second, long enough to go, oof. How's the B pillar?
It's not bad. It's gotta be massaged a bit, but it's not bad.
It's not mangled. That's good.
Yeah, it's not mangled. So I think we're in Canada, and I'll have sunlight till about 10 o'clock this time of year.
Yeah, you do get it late up there. It's been getting later and later here, and it keeps coming up early too. My wife.
Bad decision.
Oh yeah, you did make 2 bad decisions. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's a good looking one.
So tell us more about that one.
Well, that's an experiment. That's a 2013 Dodge Challenger, obviously.
Yeah.
It's a base model. It's a 3.6, stuff like that. But we did that on purpose because we'd rather screw that car up than a Hellcat. Now, if this one works out, then we might go after a Hellcat.
Okay, I guess we'll just have to tune in to see what you got planned there, huh?
Yeah. Now let's see if this thing it's getting windy. I don't know how good it'll last here.
Yeah, it got real.
This is the other one that's in progress right now.
Oh, I absolutely love those. Love them.
So
that 1 year front end.
What is that? You're gonna have to tell me.
67 Pontiac. Well,
that's a 67 Pontiac Parisienne. Yep.
Oh, sorry, everybody. The wind is bad.
Ah, jeez.
The wind was terrible there for a minute, bud.
I can mute the mic.
Oh no, you're good. Turn a little bit more to your left, I think.
That way or the other way?
Yeah, no, that was it. It kind of made it better.
Yeah, the wind's picking up a bit, so I'll head inside soon.
No, you're good. We're getting right to the 2-hour mark, so I think we're getting ready to wrap it up here. So you were just in time to make your solo appearance here and
yeah, fair enough.
Show us off all the. All right, listen. Next week we're going to do a better job of doing this at a time that mongrels can make. Because this is 2 weeks in a row. We've kind of
Fridays are not good nights typically.
Not good. See, I keep coming up with things happening on Saturday nights. We could try for a Sunday night.
There's the other F bodies there. I know people don't like those, but there's a couple.
No, I do.
Stack of them there.
What is that way in the background?
How far in the background? There's a motorhome. There's a 75 Dodge motorhome, speedboats. There's
maybe it's one of the speedboats. Kind of looks like the back window of an El Camino.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a boat. Bohemian boat.
I'm old, so I don't have my glasses on. You know.
The 68 Valiant's hiding back there too. You can't see it though.
The smoke doesn't look like it's too bad there for you.
It's all in Minnesota now.
Well, the
Yeah.
wind's blowing right now, so it got rid of a lot of it. So
Yeah, it does help. Well, but that wind will carry the freaking fires, though, is a problem.
I'll mute my mic, spin the laptop the other.
Oh wow. He's got a lot of toys up in there. Oh, look at the little K truck. He's got a little K truck back there. Yeah. You know we're a couple of scumbags when he shows us this whole yard full of cool things, and we're like, K truck.
Yeah. I need one of those. Can you?
I've had one. I
Yeah.
didn't personally have them, but we had a couple through the military, and they're not as cool as you want to think they are.
You know, here's the thing. So in the
That's a Hudson, right? Or no? What is
in the koi world, those things
That's
are
a
super
38 Pontiac.
Pontiac? Okay.
nice.
Rich, have a good night, brother. Hope you have a good weekend.
And the Mach 1 and the Trans Am, they're in the garage.
Yeah, those are the ones that are actually getting worked on right now.
Well, we're working on the Jeep today. But
So
yeah,
you gonna get that thing running and drive it around with doors off of it and whatnot?
we already got it running and driving.
Nice.
We picked it up at noon. The front wheel was dangling. We've replaced the knuckle on it. We replaced the driver's door, the passenger door.
So we couldn't see any of that. So okay, awesome.
Yeah,
It doesn't sound like it was a bad idea.
No, it's sounding way better the more you talk about it, actually.
So yeah, no, I think it's going to be a great project. The back wheel's doing something funny where it tracks pretty straight if you're just idling it along, but as soon as you give it power, it just goes woo. So I think the bearings probably hooped in that back wheel, but that thing's only got 60,000 kilometers on it, so about 40,000 miles.
Yeah.
2019.
Nice. I don't know.
So
Very good.
it was pretty
Well,
cool.
we know what you're going to be doing in the coming weeks. Now, are you filming any of this? Okay,
Yeah, I've been
all
filming
right.
it, yeah.
Hell yeah. Good.
The Parisienne's kind of one of the big pushes too. Going to get that. The Cadillac's getting back into work as well.
Somewhere I've got photos of this beautiful 67 Parisienne convertible that had been LS swapped. It was resto modded at Barrett Jackson a couple of years ago when I was actually there in person. Amazing car.
Cool.
Absolutely amazing. I'll have to dig it out for you.
That is awesome. Well, I'm going to LS swap this one just for reliability purposes right now. I might pull it out, put something in it later, but the plan is I'd like, if I can, this is my son's car, and if we can, we're going to head down to No Name Nationals in it.
Oh, wow. That'll be fun.
So I was figuring, just the 5.3 with 4L60, nice reliable combination, fairly fuel efficient. That'd be great for taking a road trip in this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be a good little tripper. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So you got some work cut out for you on that one then.
A little bit, but you know what? This thing's actually in really good shape. The floors are mint. The frame is mint. The only thing that's problem is the trunk's a little bit pinholed.
Oh, I mean, you put your luggage in a plastic bag before you put it back.
Well, I have a donor car. We're going to go get it tomorrow. Oh. And
who does this guy sound like?
Yeah, I know who I sound like right now.
Maple syrup.
EWD. But anyways, it is an actual donor car. It's a 4-door version that I've already started cutting up, and the front suspension's out of it. It's after I get what I want.
It's not a donor car that you buy and then go register as a real car.
Correct. That is correct. Yes.
You're not going to need a parts car for your parts car.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's going to. I don't know if the trunk's going to be any better in it. I've had it almost as long as I've had this one, but hopefully the trunk's got some good pieces in it that we can put into this one, and then this thing will be nice and solid.
Oh yeah.
So,
Sweet. Well, I hate to wrap it on you at
That's
the end
okay,
here,
man.
bud, but we are
I'm like,
definitely to that time. Dudes got pulled away for a work call, so
okay.
again, like I say, every time we end these things, when he's here, he doesn't need your guys' support, so you don't need to go subscribe to him anyhow. But he is doing some long form videos, so go over and watch his long form video. Just don't subscribe. Tell him I sent you.
Yeah, they are. His latest long forms have been really good.
They are, and they've been doing pretty decent too. Seriously, go
He
watch
doesn't
his
think
stuff.
so, but
Well, listen, he's used to giant numbers that do crazy things, and listen, he's doing great things over there. Go watch him, support him. Actually, subscribe if you want to. Okay. I think Jim just got Starlinked over there. That V8 scared Jim's internet right out of the room. He closed his eyes. He's been frozen like that ever since. To all of me. I appreciate it, Dean. I appreciate you coming in. I hope you enjoyed the show. We're trying to, I think we did a good job on this one for rolling content and going back and topic. I think we did pretty decent.
Hey, what do you guys think? Maybe we should just take the powertrain of the Jeep, throw it in the Parisienne.
I mean,
Yeah.
I like stupid ideas, so I'm in.
I don't think that'd be very stupid.
Well, like a Volvo LS swap.
Yeah, yeah, kind of that stupid. Yeah.
I'll tell you what though. I have a 51 Dodge that I would love to Hemi swap with something. It's got a big block Chevy in it right now. It just looks out of place.
Well, I think I'm gonna Hemi swap the 38 Pontiac.
Well, you actually do Hemi swaps into things, so that makes its own. I don't know.
I've heard actually put one into anything yet. I haven't put one into an older vehicle yet. I know the theory behind it, but and I've helped people do it, but I haven't actually done it myself.
Close enough. You helped someone one time.
Yeah, the entry level on those though is much higher than LS swap. LS is so cheap.
Yeah, 5.7 Hemi is not too bad actually.
After engine management and everything, and getting it actually working in the donor car.
Yeah, easy.
I don't know. I mean, you can get I can get a 5.3 and a 4L60E for under $1,000 with wiring harness and computer.
Well, I can go to Pick and Pull and get a 5.7 Hemi with a 545 RFE and the wiring harness for about $500.
Yeah,
I was going to say there was a time when that garbage the LS motor's not, but the 4L60's garbage was $500. That was $500.
Yeah, I don't know that you can go to. Well, I mean, there's really no real good pick and pulls around here.
Not anymore. No. You can't anymore. The time frame is left. But I guess we'll end the show on that. Back in my day, they were that cheap. But then there's the generation before us that said the same thing about 350s when the LSs came into it. So.
Although I have the guy I get my LS stuff from. I've never talked to him about Hemis. I'm gonna have to talk to him about that because he's a scrapper. I get it. I get the stuff from a guy who scraps things.
But still, you're paying $1,000 for a full dropout, which actually is pretty decent for what they are now. But there was just times when those dropouts were even cheaper.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
I've learned how to program them and stuff, so I just use the factory components because it's easy for me. HP tuners, factory components, and it's literally 5 wires. It's not bad at all for the Hemi. I mean, it's a little.
Well, did they finally figure out the VVT? Because I know the VVT and the Hemis was an issue they were having with swaps back in the early, mid 2000s.
Yeah, but I use sorry, there's a lot of mosquitoes out today. I use the MS. The multi-cylinder displacement. I use the VVT. I use all that stuff, and I don't modify the engines though. I don't. Yeah. I just put the stock stuff like.
There's for cruisers. You don't have to do any of that.
No, stuff. Why do I need more than 400 horsepower?
Because poor decisions.
Not for a cruiser, anyways. For a race car, okay, but for a cruiser, 400, 450 horse, that's fine.
All my stuff is cruisers. I don't need a race car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a race car. Come on.
Well,
anyways, you know what I'm up to. I just kind of went through it all, so
yeah, no, I am basically doing riding stuff for over here, so that's weird. I mean, I hope you like riding videos and lives because that's what we do.
I'm gonna try this one more time. See if I can run around real quick and get the doors.
All right, we're gonna get that look, and then we're gonna
oh, look at you can cut out.
What the crap, man. Oh.
You know what we need to do? Open the passenger side. Open the passenger side and look through from the passenger side.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna leave everyone else hanging just like us with the cliffhanger on that. You guys will have to go see Mongrel's videos if you want to see what that side looks like. Oh, well, maybe you're gonna get it.
No, didn't make it.
No, he almost made it. Let's see.